About 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more, I got out of a long-term relationship. Being that I'm the shy type, I wasn't good at asking girls out, and for some reason, it gave me crippling anxiety. I'm not sure if it was the fear of rejection or the embarrassment of my peers, but either way, dating was not my strong suit. When I met my ex, Tinder was just becoming a thing, so I never used the app. And now that I was single, I had a chance to try it for myself. I must admit, I was excited. I know a lot of my friends have had success on Tinder and various other dating platforms. I had the app for a few months and nothing exciting happened. I did meet one girl at the park, but that date lasted all of like 20 minutes. She got the classic phone call move saying that she had gotten called into work, and then I never heard from her again. I was just about to consider the Tinder experiment a failure, and then I matched with Danielle, Danny for short. She was beautiful. I half expected that I was being played, actually. At one point, I thought for sure that this girl was going to be a 50-year-old dude or something, but I continued to talk to her anyway. We agreed to meet at the local park in our area, and the park is a beautiful place. There's a big lake in the middle and massive series of trails that go all around the lake, and we agreed to meet at 5 p.m. when we both got out of work. I showed up at 4 just because I was nervous and waited around until I got her message. A little after 5, she messaged saying that she was walking to the pavilion where all the picnic tables were. I messaged back and told her that I was heading that way as well. I was beyond happy when I walked up to the pavilion, and sitting right in front of me was Danny, the same Danny from Tinder and not a 50-year-old man. I sat down and we talked for a while. She had this way of calming me down and telling me to not be so nervous. Whatever she was saying and doing, it worked. I was head over heels for this girl already, and I thought that I may have been doing a good job on the date since it had been a few hours and she hadn't left yet. We decided to go for a walk on one of the trails even though it was starting to get dark out. Ordinarily, I would have never agreed to do this, but I felt all right with Danny for some reason. I reached for her hand at one point, and I nearly melted when she allowed me to hold her hand. And for the first time in a while, I felt something special. We walked for a long time until it was dark. She suggested that we should turn around and start making our way back to the cars, since we had no idea how much longer this trail went for, and it was almost pitch black on the trail. The walk back was nice for a while. Danny was holding my hand and cuddling up against my arm. We weren't far from the lot when I noticed somebody standing in the walkway. I could barely see him, and if it wasn't for the faint light of the moon shining through the trees, I probably would have missed him. I stopped abruptly and asked Danny if she could see him, and she said that she could. She shouted and asked the guy if he needed anything, and the person just stood there. I was terrified, but I didn't want to seem too scared in front of Danny. I just suggested that we move and that it was probably just some fool trying to play some joke on us. She agreed, and we slowly continued walking toward the person. As they became more visible, it was becoming more scary, as the figure hadn't budged an inch, and now we could clearly see that he was concealing something behind his back. When we were about 10 feet away, the man finally moved his hands from behind his back, and in his hand appeared to be a knife, but I wasn't sure. And in a low and rough voice, the man said, "Turn around and put your hands above your head." I had no idea what to do. Danny, being the little spitfire that she is, started to argue with the man, and before I could even realize what was happening, she charged right into the guy, knocking him over, and she shouted for me to run, so I did. I could hear the man running after me as we made our way off the trail. We both ran to her car. She got into the passenger seat and we drove off. I could see the man in the parking lot as we were departing from the park. Along with my car, there were 3 other cars in the parking lot, which made me think, was this guy alone, or were there more people in danger in that park? When we were a safe distance away, we decided to call the police and report what had happened. The man was long gone, and the only car in the lot when the police arrived was my vehicle. I remember having the thought at one point that Danny was setting me up, but thankfully, after her apparent heroic action, that thought was put to bed. After that horrifying interaction, we went to a late-night diner and just stayed up all night talking. It was like that event brought us together closer for some reason. and in a lot of ways I have mixed feelings about Tinder. The app almost got me killed, but I also met Danny there, and now she's my fiancée. Whenever we tell people how we met, it's always fun to watch the reaction of people when we tell them that we met on Tinder and almost died on our first date. I still can't believe what she did that night and that we were able to actually get out of there unharmed. It just goes to show you that sometimes good things can come out of the bad. If you enjoyed this scary story, listen to thousands more, either over on the Let's Read YouTube channel or podcast.